Going live.
We can do slow-mo.
Sweet. Cool. All right. Well, we are live. Let me share this link with you. Awesome. Thanks everyone who's joining in on YouTube. We'll get started here in a couple minutes. Really want to thank David from StrongBlock for joining us today. Really excited to learn more about everything that went into the story of StrongBlock and everything that's to come.
Hey, thanks for having me. Really looking forward to it. Let me know when we're ready to start talking. I'm just sitting here all excited and ready to talk.
Hi, Alexis. Yeah, thanks a lot for joining today, Don. Cool. Yeah, we'll give it about 30 more seconds, then we'll go ahead and get started. Really appreciate everyone joining us today. Really want to thank you again, David, for joining. I know the StrongBlock community is really excited for this one, as am I.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. Really appreciate it and glad to be on the show with you.
Cool. And you're calling in from Los Angeles, right?
I am in the Los Angeles area. Yes, not Los Angeles proper, but nearby.
Cool.
Close enough to have heard all the explosions that were going around near July 4th. Everybody kept wondering, what's all that noise? What's all that noise? And people kept saying it's just people that are buying fireworks that they can't show off on regular displays. And then after it stopped on July 5th, it's like, yeah, that was it. But it was constant. It sounded like World War III was going on down in LA. So.
Cool. And for everyone listening in, yeah, if you have questions, definitely feel free to drop them into the chat here and we'll try our best to maybe get to them. If not, we'll definitely put all the links to both of our social channels and you can ask those questions afterwards in our specific communities. We'll go ahead and get started here in about 10 seconds. You good to go, David?
I am ready when you are.
Cool. All right. Well, really want to thank the StrongBlock and Chainlink and overall blockchain community for joining us today. Again, really want to thank you, David, for helping set this up and joining us. The goal of this Q&A is allow the community to learn more about the integration between Chainlink and StrongBlock and all the cool things that both of us are working on, as well to learn more about what makes this integration unique and what the future of nodes and everything that we're both working on. So the agenda is going to be about 20-30 minutes of Q&A asked by myself. Again, if you have questions, feel free to drop them into the chat and we'll do our best to answer all those. And without further ado, yeah, David, again, really want to thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
Cool. Yeah, so we were talking a little bit before about your history at EOS and kind of what motivated into this. Do you want to maybe just give a background for the audience about yourself and kind of what got you into everything?
Sure. Well, it's all the crazy times of crypto. I was asked to be at Block One back in it's been 3+ years, almost 3.5 years now. Was with a lot of people working in Los Angeles on a bunch of different crypto projects. I was advising some. I was writing white papers, and I was at a get together where the CEO Brendan Bloomer was, and he was introduced to me, and someone sat us down and said, "You guys need each other. Figure out a way to work together." And this was after the EOS white paper was already worked out. And I said, "What do you mean, figure out a way to work together? What does that mean?" And what it meant was, I had some questions about the white paper. Brendan Bloomer gave me Dan Larimer's number. I called up Dan Larimer in Blacksburg, Virginia, and said, "Hey, I have a couple of questions about how this is going to work." And after we've talked for about an hour, after that was done, about an hour later, they came up to me and said, "We'd like you to be part of the core team for Block One." And I said, "And can you be in Blacksburg, Virginia tomorrow?" And so it's like,
Sure.
let's see. I wasn't looking for a job. I'm happy doing what I'm doing. But I was in Blacksburg, Virginia within about a week. And Dan and I, it was just Dan and I for the first 3 or 4 days. We just sat down and hammered through what we needed to do to make everything work. And then just started, going back and forth. There was no offices, there were no other employees. It was just Dan and I on, I think it was a peer in, was not before Zoom even got really popular. We were on a peer in on Saturday nights sometimes at 10 or 11 o'clock, and our wives are saying, "What are you guys talking about?" But in the middle of all that, we were able to bring in, I brought in some old friends, did some other stuff. So that was the EOSIO software was what we were going to build. And there was a charter to build that software. It needed to be released in June of 2018, as everybody knows. This is all almost ancient. Well, let's see. It's 2020 now. So that's about 30,000 years ago in crypto history, right? It's a lot, not 3 years, but let's say 300 years. So in that process where I was able to build a team, bring people in, build the software, and just do the things that we needed to do to get the EOSIO software out the door. And that was, it was a very heady time because things were just growing like crazy. Block One was taking in a massive amount of money for a massive amount of ETH for its EOS token, and it just was a really great opportunity to learn learn next to somebody who was one of the top people out there. Dan is one of the top thinkers in crypto, still is, and really was a great opportunity. I would have paid for that opportunity. They paid me, so it worked out.
Very cool. Yeah, no, bringing back nostalgia of the, the early EOS Ethereum days a few years ago. But you're right. One day in crypto is like a whole year in real life.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So I'd love to learn more, so you started with this EOS, and then what led to StrongBlock, and for the audience, what is StrongBlock and what are you working on?
Sure. It happened pretty naturally. There was an opportunity at StrongBlock, at Block One, to continue working at Block One, or to be funded by Block One and go out there and start working on other stuff. And that was the original opportunity that was offered to me. And we ended up not taking any money from them. But the goal was always, how do we support, proselytize, bring EOSIO to the masses so people can start using it in enterprises? And that was always the goal. But I was part of I left Block One to do that. As a matter of fact, we were going to get funded, and we turned down the money from Block One. But around May 15th of 2018, about 2 weeks later, everything was ready to go. The software was ready. Everybody that was on my team still at Block One got it ready to go. And there we were, with 300 people or so on just kind of like this. It was a Zoom conference, maybe 300 people on that conference, as many as you could get on a call. And then thousands of other people watching on live stream. And I was working on getting a go vote. So everybody would agree, we're going to put together one EOS mainnet. We're going to do this. We're going to do pick somebody randomly to be able to get the whole thing going. This essentially the seed of the network. I was the one who did all that and coordinated all of it. And I looked around when we were doing it, and all these yes votes were coming in. Yes, we're going to go live. And this is always the beauty of getting any protocol launched. It's like, wow, this is really cool. And there's also billions of dollars locked up in it. And I looked around and I thought, all these people sitting here, there's only maybe 50 of them that are ever going to really make any money off of this because of the way that the rewards are going. And maybe they'll be able to build on the ecosystem. But I thought, how are they going to make money with all that stuff? How do we capitalize on this? So we built a blockchain as a service system at StrongBlock. That was always our goal, blockchain as a service. And then we start bringing in those nodes so that the nodes could start providing those decentralized networks to people, and they could build their own network and get things up and running really quickly. So that was the genesis of StrongBlock, came directly out of, we were already going to help enterprises and do other groups, but we really wanted to support that whole nodes things. We thought that was a huge problem of not rewarding nodes. And so that's kind of been our thinking this whole time.
Very cool. Yeah, no, this is really exciting, and especially like right now, and we were kind of talking about this before, but with Ethereum 2 coming out, and ideas with the nodes. And so where's kind of StrongBlock fit within, ETH 2.0 and some of the other blockchains that are needing some node work?
Well, we started focusing on Ethereum first because if you look at some of the statistics out there, there are actually fewer nodes now in the Ethereum network than there were. That decreases the resiliency of the network. at a time when it needs increased resiliency because DeFi just exploded, right? There's a massive amount of people using the network. At times, you would go out in something like ETH gas station and you'd see something instead of the normal that you would expect, like, for a fast transaction, 20 GUI or something like that. It was 300 and 500 and 600 and ridiculously expensive. It was like, but it's like going to Disneyland in Southern California, right? Disneyland in Southern California is, when it's open, and hopefully it'll open again at point. It's been quite a while that it's been shut down. Expensive, crowded, hot, difficult to navigate. You got to wait a long time, just like Ethereum. But everybody goes there because that's where everything is happening. And so we looked at Ethereum nodes and the strength of all the things out there. We thought, could we build a project, a protocol that allowed us to create another layer on top of the layer one protocols, Ethereum and Bitcoin and Ethereum 2.0 and others, and provide a rewards mechanism for them so that we could literally help enforce those networks. And so we started off with Ethereum, mainly because there's a pretty big extant body of nodes out there that aren't getting rewarded. When we say a full Ethereum node, they have to have a full copy of everything that's going on the Ethereum node. They've got to pay a reasonable amount of money every month to do it, and they get nothing for doing that. They get not even pride of ownership or anything like that. Nobody sings and celebrates the nodes. But we did not expect the Spanish Inquisition. I mean, we did not expect Ethereum 2.0, because how long has Vitalik been talking about Ethereum 2.0? Back when we were working on the EOS white paper, it's like, wait, why were you doing EOS? Ethereum 2.0 is coming out next week. Okay, well, that didn't really happen, did it? And so now with Ethereum 2.0, we're already supporting Ethereum. We're working on Bitcoin, supporting Bitcoin nodes. We're talking with a number of other groups for other different entire protocols, but looking at Ethereum 2.0, fascinating thing. Let me tell you about what's going on with Ethereum 2.0. If you want to be a validator node in Ethereum 2.0, you need 32 ETH. You got to pledge those 32 ETH and lock them into a contract. They're taking in, I believe, 16,300, just roughly that number of nodes. And there's already a massive number of people who are doing that. And then you run your validator node and you have your 32 ETH there, and you're going to get rewards in December of 2021, maybe. Okay, perfect opportunity for what StrongBlock does. So why don't you come in with us, show us your node, show us that you put your 32 ETH in there, and hey, it's a great way for you to be able to get validated. So, when we're talking about stuff, we've been hinting at this, but we have a plan for supporting those Ethereum 2.0 nodes who are going to be out there not making any money on what they're doing for over a year. So we can support those. And they're just nodes like anything else. Now they're proof of stake. That's why they're staking 32 ETH to get it to work. So there's a lot of different things that a lot of different kinds of nodes that we can support. We can support different kinds of things. We've even, and you and I talked about this, and this isn't something that we're in active discussions with, but we've talked about this for Chainlink nodes, for Oracle nodes. This basically is a whole layer solution that we can apply to any node system that needs a reward mechanism. So that's what we're working on. And like I said, Ethereum 2.0 is pretty exciting, but we're pretty excited at what we're coming up with that I can't tell you about yet, but we have a whole plan to really dramatically increase. We've got a couple hundred nodes out there right now. We're going to be dramatically increasing that with some of the projects that we have going to thousands of Ethereum nodes and thousands of other different kinds of nodes.
Yeah, it's very exciting. And so do you think it's like the network effects that makes the StrongBlock, like if there's more and more people with it, then, that's what helps with like the rewards of everyone kind of part of this ecosystem?
Yeah, and that's a great question, because one of the things that we've done, we're on V2 right now, and a lot of people, rightly so, looked at our V1. It looked like, okay, we've got 4 years of rewards. We're just going to keep spewing them out every day. You can't really change them too much, and there's not a lot of people that picked up on the node side. When we first launched, we were thinking, okay, well, we're launching DeFi with a purpose, and everybody's going to want to do nodes. And it took a couple of weeks before people even signed up with the first node. And what we found is that it really needs to be a lot easier for people to be able to do that. Easier for people with nodes already there, or for us to even create the nodes for them. And so if you're looking at that whole idea of how do you expand it, how do you get a network effect? Well, once you get enough people outside of your small community, because right now most of the people that are running nodes and getting rewards in our system are people that were part of the early strong community and had to transition from, well, I'm just a crypto person, but I want to get these other rewards, to talking with actual groups that have 200 Ethereum nodes or 1,000 Ethereum nodes, or us helping them create 1,000 Ethereum nodes. That gets a network effect. And then we're just ready to do that. But with our V1 tokenomics, it was very inflation based. So we're giving out a lot of tokens without a lot of skin in the game, a lot of other things. So we've changed that dramatically. There's an announcement that came out just a couple of hours before you and I are talking here. And also looking at how do we really grow this and how do we get awareness? And it's a new thing in DeFi, because DeFi to me means you're taking whatever you have in crypto and you're turning it into, well, more crypto. Now, if you do that with your savings account, I know for a fact that my current savings account at my bank pays 0.25% interest on the money that I have in there. It's a terrible, terrible deal. Now, are they insured? Yes. Will it drop down below the amount that I have in there? Probably not. It's very unlikely. With crypto, it's like, yeah, everybody expects to get these big rewards and they chase these big things, but where's that next generation where you're actually doing that and doing some good somewhere? You're helping another community. So that's been our focus, and trying to figure out we said DeFi with a purpose. Well, the purpose is to support the node community. It's pretty straightforward.
Very cool. I love that approach to DeFi. And that's kind of like the building blocks, the strong block of what is
StrongBlock, yes.
this whole thing.
What a great name! We should use that.
Yeah, I'd love to dig deeper into like how we are both working together and how decentralized oracles kind of play a role in this whole ecosystem that you have going on.
Well, the thing that I love about oracles that I've been exploring for years is I worked at Oracle Corporation. That was very confusing to people who worked at Oracle Corporation, who used Oracle. Nothing like that. We all know what an Oracle is. You and I know what an Oracle is, but in some cases, some of our audience doesn't know what it is. And essentially, it's a mechanism to off-chain determine what your smart contract can act on. So it could be something as simple as pricing information. We're using it for pricing information. We want to know what the price of a particular token is at a particular point in time, and we use that to calculate rewards. We use that to calculate how much is of the total value locked is in our various contracts. All of that depends on reliable, decentralized oracles. Reliable decentralized oracles. I can just write out Chainlink. I should have a little white thing here. Chainlink equals reliable decentralized oracles. So that's exactly what we're looking at, is that by having that off-chain mechanism, you can build into your smart contract a call to be able to determine what a value is at a given point in time. But then that way you don't have to build it into your contract. The contract has that flexibility of letting it change over time. It's like if you didn't have oracles and you were trying to figure out how you were going to do something based on the weather, and the weather you're assuming is always good. It's Southern California, so it's always going to be 70 degrees. And you just hard-coded that in, right? That's what people do in a lot of smart contracts, is they were hard coding that stuff in. If you're using oracles, you're able to go out there and say, I need to get the weather 5 minutes ago to be able to broadcast that, because people are doing that based on certain futures or something else, or a price of something, et cetera. So for us, integrating Chainlink was an obvious thing to do, and it made perfect sense. There are so many other groups that are doing different kinds of integrations. We have our smart contract auditor, Hacken, has an integration with you so that people can go out there and literally say, is this smart contract audited? And it can have a little thing there, and it comes out of Chainlink. And so there's all sorts of ways that you can take real world information that's either static or changes over time and provide a way for a smart contract to access it in real time with the most current information that is reliable and it can be acted upon. And that's been the biggest problem in, it's the biggest problem in crypto, I think, is having reliable information to act upon. It's the same thing we're doing with nodes, is that the more nodes that have that reliable information, the more accurate your price can be when you're out there on an exchange or something else. So it's just one example. But so for us, it was crucial to have that integration. We're looking at more integrations with other things that we're doing with nodes as we move forward. But right now, the pricing was a very important component of how we were able to get all of our mining contracts set up.
Very cool. No, thanks a lot for that answer. And yeah, it's very exciting, and you make oracles, very, very exciting. So definitely appreciate
we're bringing sexy back to oracles. Yes.
Love it.
Or maybe it was never there, but it should be, because it really is probably the single biggest innovation outside of the smart contract that's been happening in the crypto market as far as just pure technology.
Yeah, I remember it was about when you were writing the EOS white paper, me and my friends were trying to come up with a fantasy football DApp, right when Ethereum first started, and we're like, all right, where do we get this data? And then it's just okay, now it's okay, I really wish Chainlink was around, right back in
exactly. It's and that's the kind of thing you need to have, is you need to have it so that you're able to grab that information in real time. And so Chainlink does a lot of really cool things. Like I said, I'm a big fan of what Chainlink is doing, and I'm not a big fan of a lot of things, and you can ask anybody. I don't endorse a lot of stuff, and so I'm not saying I'm endorsing this. I'm just saying we needed oracles. We picked Chainlink for that reason. So gosh, I hope this doesn't sound like I'm selling this here. We pick things I'll try to be as serious as I can here. We pick things for StrongBlock after very careful technology consideration. I've been a CTO, I've been a CEO. We look at these things from a solid protocol point of view, making sure we have our smart contracts audited, making sure we have reliable outside information that we can feed into what we're doing, making sure that the software responds accurately, all the things that you need to do to build real software with real people. And that's the thing I love about having oracles, is that the same thing is that we're really transparent. As a matter of fact, is accused the right word? That sounds so terrible. I've been told that I am too transparent. And so that's kind of how I am. I try to tell people the truth. Everybody knows who's working at our company and where they came from and what we're doing. And we try to be transparent with everything they're doing. That could hurt you sometimes when you're just letting everybody know what's going on. But that's really the reason that we were interested in Chainlink is because it's so public. The idea of what we're doing and what Chainlink is doing is so public. So anyway.
Very cool. Yeah. Thanks a lot for that answer. Back to StrongBlock. So people within the ecosystem, is there ways for them to participate, if they aren't running a node or maybe interested in running a node?
Good. Yeah. And that's changing. We were talking about, we're not going to disclose a lot of things about the specific items in the roadmap right now, because they're going to be revealed. There's a lot of stuff coming up. But if you have a node, there are ways to get rewards right now, but frankly, it's not the easiest thing to do. It took a while to do that. What we were looking for and what people have started doing is they've come up with, being a provider. So you can help get a node up and running. There's other companies that do this, that have nodes as a service and things like that, and that you can actually run. What we're looking at is, well, what if that were integrated into what we're doing? Imagine, if you will, that somehow StrongBlock integrated something that would allow you to create your own node. And then when you had your own node, you could proudly show it and say, I'm sponsoring, or I'm running this node, and you could be eligible for rewards for increasing that particular network. That's what we're working on. And we've actually been working on that for a while. We already built blockchain as a service. That was up and running for quite a while. And you could get a blockchain up and running, a complete EOS or Ethereum blockchain up and running in about 3 minutes. It's like, you could either, cook an egg, boil an egg, or you could get a blockchain up and running. And so the same idea is that, well, what's the big thing that's stopping people from having a node? Well, it's too technical. So what if we remove that barrier and we were able to expand those different node ecosystems? bringing in people that want to run their own nodes as well. But also, what if we were able to provide that whole system for them and be able to make a substantial impact on the number of nodes running on any given ecosystem? And again, looking at not just running them from one particular hardware or a cloud stack as well, trying to make it more diversified.
Very cool. Yeah, exciting stuff coming up. It sounds like, and so I'd love to know. I mean, you've been around here since the very beginning. Where do you see DeFi going, and kind of what are you most excited about?
Well, DeFi, decentralized finance, making, like I said, not making 0.25% on your savings account. That's the ultimate goal. I think that some of the early DeFi stuff that we've seen, we kind of liken it to like the same thing that we went through with, well, there was Bitcoin that ran at 2 or 3 transactions a second, and Ethereum that ran at 15 transactions a second, and EOS that ran at maybe 4,000 transactions a second. And there's other ones out there that are coming up. You look at what's going on in DeFi, and it's like, well, you got this DeFi thing that paid out great rewards for like a month. Then you've got DeFi things that paid out great rewards for 2 weeks, and DeFis that paid great rewards for 1 day. And then they crashed and they went down to zero. And what I see is the coolest innovation that I've seen since people were coming up with actual products back in the ICO days 3 years ago. Now, to a certain extent, there's not a lot of those projects that took in hundreds of millions of dollars that built anything that anybody's using. So what we're really looking at is like any other boom, you get a whole bunch of people that come out of the woodwork that have really cool ideas that can build really cool stuff. And some of those things work and stick. And I was lucky enough to, I mean, I've gone through several booms. I was part of a company called Edmunds.com that is a automotive resource that was out there at the time that I helped get it out there. This is like 20 years ago. My gosh, I'm getting old. But at the time, that was my first big gig. After Oracle was building this up, and we were the number 36 site on the web at the time. And you're building all of those things, and you're seeing that boom, and it's still around. It's still a site you go to. They're making money. They've got 300 employees. They're doing all this other stuff. Most of the other stuff, it was like eToys. eToys was down the street from us. We bought their furniture. So what I'm looking at is, and what I see in DeFi is, we're just starting to scratch the surface. All sorts of innovations, new things coming out. The things that I've been looking at, I love what Andre did for Yearn Finance. We've been watching Ampleforth. We like YFV, and we've watched some of these other ones, but some of the ones just don't really seem like there's anything there except lots of Rube Goldberg devices that you put money into, and maybe you get some money back out if the founders don't rug pull on you. What we're really looking at is, well, how do we move into a more regulated and more sustainable environment where you can get returns from something that you're investing in, and you don't have to constantly be moving things around. Now, that's part of what crypto is. I mean, a lot of crypto traders, and I've been, I was a day trader. I actually was a day trader doing stocks, and I looked at also crypto. You look at crypto traders, for them, it's just about, it's about money. And frankly, that's what it's about. But what we found with our community is that people are really also interested in helping provide that service for nodes. So what I see happening in DeFi is people building resources and communities around a purpose that then allows everybody in the community to benefit from it, and a separate group that benefits. In our case, it happens to be blockchain nodes. And everybody's able to get financial rewards from something along those lines as well. That's what I see happening in DeFi over the next couple of years. And we're so early. I mean, my gosh, some of the things that people try, like I said, they'll come up with them and they'll look great and everybody jumps into them, or they'll sell you futures of something that they're going to build. And then it's gone in a couple of days or a couple of weeks, and they don't have any way of moving around with their governance. So I think strong governance, a purpose-centered community that you're doing something, rewards that benefit both the people contributing and a particular group in the community that you're trying to benefit, and I think that's where all of this is going with DeFi. And then you can start looking at it and bringing, just like Bitcoin has massive amounts of people coming in right now because it's getting more mainstream. You're going to see that with DeFi as people start coming into DeFi when they don't start seeing, 1,000, some massive returns, 1,000x returns for one day, and then the next day it's zero. They'll start coming in when it becomes more predictable, and that's when you get mass adoption, and that's what we're aiming for as well.
Yeah. Do you see any like enterprises exploring running nodes either with StrongBlock or just like outside, and have they kind of done any exploration in these sorts of areas?
Running nodes as in running nodes on our platform, or just running nodes in general?
Just in general, I guess, on different blockchains. I mean, I guess also on StrongBlock, but
Sure.
yeah, like if you've just noticed them like kind of like opening up to these ideas.
I think that what we've seen is there was a lot of work going on in enterprise blockchain up until COVID. And a lot of the projects that we continued to do, again, we have a consulting group within StrongBlock, and a lot of the projects, we still had a lot of projects that kept going on because they were virtual, but we had a number of projects that kind of just slowed down. And I think the same thing happened with enterprise adoption of blockchain. And I think that it's one of those things where, is blockchain itself the killer app, or is DeFi the killer app? And I think that what we're seeing from the people that we're talking to is people are a lot, and we advise on tokenomics and other things. We're seeing a lot of people that are much more excited about DeFi and about nodes and other things like that. The node part of it, being able to create your own a group of nodes that you can participate in, that you can get rewards and use it to run other parts of your system. Those are very intriguing ideas that nobody's really been exploring before. So we have some of our enterprise clients that we've talked about it with, but I think that I think like blockchain, I think you're going to get a leap over blockchain into DeFi by enterprises, because they can start seeing the practical ways of doing things, where blockchain gets a little bit more problematic to just, it's harder to implement, harder to make things work.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Yeah, so I think we're coming close to the end. Is there anything that maybe we didn't touch upon that you want to let the audience know or speak about?
I really appreciate, again, you taking the time to talk with me today. We could probably go on talking for a couple of hours. There's a lot of stuff we've got in common, but the thing that we're really emphasizing is the node rewards for groups out there that have previously gone unrewarded. And we believe that there's a huge untapped market for them out there, and that we can build a community around them so that it's basically a self-growing community, where we don't have to go out there and create a bunch of tokens and hand them out as inflation. We can actually have it so it keeps the community going, and the community thrives from that, almost a cooperative environment. And we see a huge opportunity there for what we're doing. And we're just really excited about where we are and what's going to happen now, because we're just on the cusp of this, just on the verge of everybody discovering what exactly it is that we do. So exciting times for us.
Yeah, very, very exciting. If people want to follow your community and join it, where's the best place for them to go?
Well, we have Telegram, Twitter, and of course, StrongBlock.com is the best place to go. If you go to StrongBlock.com, you'll find our homepage and landing information. You'll find more about what we do, our social media, find more about the actual token that we have out there and what we're doing with mining and what some of the future things are. And then, of course, on Medium, we have regular posts there, but you can link to all of that by just going to StrongBlock.com.
Cool. I'll make sure to put all those links in the description after this video, and it should be up on YouTube here in a couple hours afterwards.
Cool.
Sweet, David. Well, your passion is fantastic. This was a lot of fun, and it's really exciting, to see everything that you're working on and everything where this industry is headed. So really appreciate you taking the time and joining us today.
It was great talking with you, Keenan. Have a great day.